Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. Happy Monday. It is currently 5:29 p.m. My husband is on his way home from Chicago. I have candles lit all over the house, and the dogs are going to be fed here as soon as I get off from making this video. And I am really excited about just having like a simple fall evening tonight. So that being said, let's get into the meditations for today. Now, I also brought the Daily Book of Positive Quotations by Linda Picone because I think last year I read from this almost every single day, but I've kind of steered away from that this year. So I thought, you know what, let's get in here and see what Linda Picone has to say to us today. I also brought the two Melody Beatty books with me as well. All right, let's get into the September 6th meditation. Get my reading glasses out. September 6th. Bad memory. Happiness is good health and a bad memory. Ingrid Bergman. We worry a lot about forgetting things. We make notes and tuck them in our pockets or post lists in prominent places around the house. That's totally me. We keep our address book or daily calendar with us at all times. We practice little tricks for remembering names and places. We would be happier, though, if we could forget some things. Let's forget about those occasions when people betrayed us, made us cry, or sinned against us. Let's forget about those times when we embarrassed ourselves, acted meanly, or let ourselves down. There's no point in wallowing in such memories, and plenty of reasons to move on. My good memories I'll keep for a long time. My bad ones I'll let go. Interesting meditation, and something that I have struggled with much of my life. You know, I think in the past, and there have been many times in my life that I have been really stuck in a rut of looking at things that have happened in the past in a negative way. I'm sure there's many of you out there that relate to that, are probably nodding, like, yeah, that's me, you know, like, and you know, I think it's this need that I talk about over here on a regular basis to tell on someone, or for people to see things from our perception, you know, or our perspective, sorry. You know, if you could only see things from my eyes, if you only knew what I knew, you know? And what's interesting about that is, upon reflection as I've gotten older, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 plus years ago, and I look back on things, you know, there are some things in my life that I had no part in whatsoever. You know, I look at it, I do inventory on, and those are things that really hurt me at the time and really hurt me for some time after that. And I look back at that and I realize I had no part in that whatsoever, you know? But there are many things that I did have a part in and that I have to take a look at and say, you know, at that time I wanted people to know how betrayed or, you know, I had been, or what this person had done to me, or what the situation was like, right? And I look back on it now and I'm like, I kind of had a part in that, you know? Like, I really had a part in that. And so I have to go back to that, and I have to evaluate those things that I have a part in and try to take care of those, my part of that, and then move through the pain. And the book talks about moving on. I know that's a term that we throw around. I just don't love that term, you know, and I know I even say it from time to time over here, but I really believe in the idea of moving through our pain to the other side, and I think that we have to do the work to do that, and doing the work means taking a look at those things that hurt us, taking a look at what our part in it is, if we have any part in it at all, identifying the feelings and the emotions and how whatever happened to us affected us, right? And then letting go. And the reality is, what is the alternative to letting it go? Holding on to it forever? You know, if you visualize this, right? If you visualize the idea of letting go, and like, just think about like, you know, holding on to something and then like just letting go, right? Okay, the alternative to that is holding on to it forever. So when you think about it in terms of like a bad memory, you know, which could be a bad breakup or something that happened, anything, right? Just if we think about that as holding on to that bad memory forever, like because that's the alternative to letting it go, then what are we gaining from that, you know? In my life, and I don't know where this came from, it came from some breakup that I went through or whatever, and processing it, you know? I realized that I just wanted to wish that person the best and, you know, go forward with my life. And I think it's like, it's harder to do that than it sounds, to just say, I wish this person all the best. Okay, so I have kind of a funny story. So when my ex and I moved in together, right? We had been living together for like 2 weeks, and I found underneath the bed this like shoebox filled with pictures of him and his ex together, right? I mean, not filled to the brim like he was taking it out every day, but there were pictures of him and his ex mixed in with pictures of other things and whatever, right? And he had pushed it way back underneath the bed, like behind other boxes and stuff. And so I took the shoebox out and I put it on the bed. And when he got home from work, he looked at me and he was like, "Are you upset with me?" I can't remember what he said, but something like that. And I said, "No, I'm not upset with you." I said, like, I don't want you to feel like you have to hide parts of your past. Like, if you want to, like, look at pictures of your ex and you because it reminds you of something or whatever, that's fine. Do I want pictures of him in frames around the house? Absolutely not. I don't, But I think, like, that lesson really taught me about letting go with love, and realizing that many things, not all things, but many things come to an end, Like, I've said this before, I'm a believer that people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, Sometimes the reason they come into our lives, the lesson that we learn, is through being betrayed, or is through being hurt, right? Or is through just learning to shut your mouth and wish them the best. Sometimes that's a hard lesson to do, Or sometimes the lesson is reconciliation and forgiveness, And it just depends on where you're at that moment in your life, And then I believe that people come into my life for a season, and they also come into my life for a lifetime. I have a few lifetime friends, and I feel blessed to have them in my life, But I think that this idea of holding on to negativity and pain forever, like, what do we gain from that? Ask yourself today, right? If there is something that, like, at least on, like, a weekly basis, like, you're talking to somebody about, right? Like, if every time you're talking to somebody, like, something comes up from your past, right? Then ask yourself, why am I holding on to this? And I'm not talking about it in a therapeutic session. If it's something that's very, very serious that you're holding on to, then I think that is a time when you go seek professional help, and you go, by all means, it's helped me. It's helped me to sit down, and talk about things. Like, hell, and I still talk about being bullied, right? But it was like invading every area of my life, and I could not let it go. And the moment that I sat in my therapist's office, and he looked at me and he said, "Has anybody ever suggested to you that maybe you suffered some PTSD as a result of being bullied?" It was like, in that exact moment, it had nothing to do with what he heard, okay? I didn't want to, like, bankroll on this diagnosis of PTSD. That wasn't what it was about to me, okay? And I've said that a couple times on here, and I think people have misunderstood that. I didn't know at that moment really what that meant going forward, and I really don't know that I get what it means today for me. But what I did know in that moment was that somebody had validated the pain that I had gone through, right? And so even on a small level, because nobody really ever had before, I had teachers and, principals and counselors tell me to just get over it, to move on, to get over it, whatever, to grow up, As an adult, people would say to me, "Why are you still holding on to being bullied when you were younger?" Well, I had been bullied consistently for 12 years, And I had never really had somebody look at me face to face and say, like, "I'm really sorry for what you went through. You didn't deserve that. And then do you realize maybe the gravity of what happened to you?" And in that moment, it was like, God, somebody hears me for once, It was also in that moment that I didn't have a need to really, like, prove to people in my life things anymore, Like, and I get that from my mom. I do, My mom, she had a need to prove things to people left and right. I don't know, And, that was a point when I was able to kind of, like, this went in a whole different direction than I expected it to. I was able to let go of a lot in my life of things that had hurt for a long time. Today, the way that I try to live my life, is when people exit my life or things come to an end, whether that's on like really positive terms, like, I've sat on, some kind of like organization board or whatever, and then it like comes to an end, and wishing everybody, the best, or whether it's, friendships that we no longer talk or whatever it is, I just think about the time that person really meant something to me in my life, how much they meant to me at that time. And I don't have to say it to them. I don't have to pick up the phone and say, hey, like, you know, I just want you to know, even though we're not talking anymore, I wish you all the best and whatever. But I can wish it to them in my actions. I can wish it to them in my heart and in my soul, you know, and say, you know, like, hey, I hope this person has the best life ever. I wish them nothing but success. Because what I try to do is I try to think back to that time, you know, that I wasn't hurting, to that time that I didn't have negative feelings. I try to go back to that time when they did mean something and we were really close. And the reality is that if somebody gets under your skin, it's probably because they do mean something to you. I mean, that's a reality, right? I mean, indifference is the opposite of, you know. So anyway, so that's what I try to do, is I try to go back to that place where that person really meant something to me, and I try to focus on that, you know, that because I think, like, you know, in recovery as alcoholics, we like, and addicts, we romance the good times, right? But like, I think down the road, like with betrayal and hurt relationships and hurt feelings, I think we romance the bad times sometimes. We focus more on the bad times, right? Well, I try to kind of take that asset, I guess, if you want to call it, not really, of, you know, of being an alcoholic and an addict, and kind of turning it into something positive and saying, well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to kind of romance the good times for a second, not to linger and hold on to as if that's ever going to happen again, because those times are gone, but to say, at one point, that person really did mean something to me. At one point, that situation in my life was really important to me, and I'm not going to sit here and just tear it apart at the expense of letting go what was so meaningful to me. And so I try to look at that and say, hey, like, you know, I wish that person, that situation, whatever, all my blessings, and then I try to move on from it with love. And that's what I try to do, you know? Like I said, it's like, what's the alternative to, like, letting go? It's like holding on to something so tightly. You're going to hold on to something negative for the rest of your life? What do you have to gain from that? Like, really, what do you have to gain from that? Absolutely nothing. You only lose, right? So at some point you just have to let go and just fall into wherever you're going to fall, you know? And I think that for me, like the whole kind of like saying in recovery of let go and let God is, you know, and this isn't for everybody out there. I'm a spiritual person, but I do believe in a higher power, and I do believe that I'm on a journey, and I do believe that my higher power has a plan for me. And I just do not believe that my higher power's plan for me, okay? Or even if there is no higher power and it's just the universe or it's just the wind or whatever, I do not believe that any of those intentions are meant to be grounded in hatred, anger, animosity, and resentment. I just don't. I just do not believe that that's the way the world works. I just don't. I believe, especially, take all the spiritual beliefs out of it, I function better as a human being in this world when I come from a more loving, compassionate, kind, and gentle place. When I'm able to let go of anger and resentment and wish other people and past situations the best. That is what I have learned, and that is how I try to act. I'm not a perfect example of that. There's going to be situations I'm going to get real resentful about, you know? But in those moments, that's when I, you know, talk to my husband or my best friend or call my sponsor and say, remind me, you know, of who I want to be. Remind me in this moment of how I want to live. And that's why I have quotes, you know, around the house and things like that to remind me of who I want to be, you know. Anyway, I thought this meditation was really good about letting go of the negativity of the past and focusing on the positivity of the future, you know. And the reality is this: the longer that we hold on to bad memories, the longer that we hold on to negativity, the more of the future we're ruining. That's just the result of it, right? Okay, let's read one more, and my hand just went to the Melody Beatty Journey to the Heart. So let's read from this. Dun dun dun. September 1st or 6th. Imagine all the possibilities. Think of all the possibilities for your life, for love, for work, for growth. Think of all the possibilities for adventure, for fun, and for service. This day, this week, this month, this year abounds with possibilities. Each task you have to do, each problem you encounter and need to solve abounds with possibilities. Your life abounds with possibilities. For a long time, we only saw some of the possibilities life held. We look at a situation and see the possibilities for guilt, victimization, sadness, and despair. This is just what I was talking about. We tell ourselves there was only one choice or no choice, or that something had to be done in a particular way, the hardest and dreariest way possible. We neglect to envision the other options, the choices for joy, for making any event more fun, more pleasant, more enjoyable. You don't need to limit yourself anymore. You've opened your heart. Now open your mind. Look around. See all the possibilities. The universe is teeming with them. It will lead and guide you into this abundance if you ask it for help and then allow that to happen. Open to life's abundance. Open to all its possibilities. The more open you become, the more creative you'll be in work and play and love and life. The more creative you are, the more possibilities you'll see. I love that meditation. I think it's such a truism in life. I'm such a believer in choices, that when we get up every single day, we have a choice to how we live our life. And back in the day, I worked with this woman and she was fantastic. And she was a big believer in choices. And so she would say, because we had to identify each day, like how we were feeling. And she would say, today I choose to feel, And I still think about that. It's like when I get up and I'm in a really bad, surly, salty mood, I'm choosing to feel that way. Okay, I can sit down, I can do the work, I can look at gratitude in my life, I can do some prayers and meditation, and I can switch my mood. Of course, there's going to be days that are going to be horrible, tragic days for us, okay, when we've lost people or, those kinds of things. Obviously, there's going to be horrific days out there, right? But maybe if we saved the really bad days for those days, and the days in between, we chose joy, happiness, kindness, compassion, gentleness, and love, maybe if on the other days in between, it's like, I don't know, I see so many people on a regular basis that are just so damn bitter. I mean, they really, really are. And I'm like, do you really enjoy, I got something on the end of my eye. I'm like, do you really enjoy living with a bitter heart so much? I mean, have at it if that's what you want, but please do not affect me with your bitterness. I don't have bitter, toxic people in my life today. I just don't. Period. End of story. I just don't have it in my life. Life is way too short for it, And I don't understand people that choose to live there. I really don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But like I said, there was a long period of my life that I did get it because I did choose to live in toxicity and bitterness. I did. Vindication was more important to me. Being right, having expressing anger. Anger was power. All of that was like so much more important to me than living with peace and serenity in my heart and being content and being, all of that. It's just, I don't know. These were great meditations for me today. These were good reminders. Oh, dropped my glasses. These were good reminders of who I was in the past, who I am today, and who I want to be going forward. So, which I think is what the focus of any meditation should be, right? So anyway, that we do like throughout the day. Anyway, let me know what you think about those in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.